Urgent! The armed forces of Ukraine achieved tremendous success in the Kharkiv region. The Russian invasion tried to break through, but instead encountered resistance from both the air and the ground. Near Zaporizhzhia, the occupiers were caught in the midst of a brutal frontline meat grinder. Epic footage of these intense battles is already online. Putin is screaming, Russian generals are trying to save the situation. 3 cities are on the verge of falling at once. All this and more in our segment, Hell Point. A massive sweep operation in the Kharkiv region. Ukrainian defenders struck with all their might. A lightning-fast operation against the remaining enemy forces. The Russians were left stunned. The armed forces of Ukraine are advancing deeper into the Kursk region. Panic in the Z channels has reached its peak. Pokrovsk and Mirnohrad are on the verge of encirclement. Our forces are tightening the iron grip. The enemy resorts to manipulation. Putin is blackmailing his mercenaries with freedom in exchange. What really happened in the Dnipropetrovsk region? An enemy move or just another PR campaign? Don't miss the story coming up in just a moment.
Fighters from the Skelya regiment carried out a successful assault operation near the village of Milov in the Kharkiv region. Ukrainian infantry units meticulously conducting the area sweep were actively and effectively supported by their advanced reconnaissance drones. With the help of drones, about 10 occupiers were eliminated. They didn't even realize they were being hunted. And here are shots of the Special Operations Forces at work in the northern Slobozansky direction. As a result of the operation, Ukrainian fighters eliminated 7 Russian soldiers. As a result, only 1 Ukrainian soldier was wounded. Russian public channels are complaining that the Ukrainian armed forces are achieving significant success in the Sumy direction and that something needs to be done.
In the Kursk region, the Ukrainian armed forces continue to push deeper into our territory from Novyi Put. Yesterday, they covered more than half the distance to Obukovka, but we didn't let them gain a foothold. In the Sumy region, our Marines crossed the border and approached Novokostiantynivka. At the same time, the Ukrainian armed forces counterattacked near Andriivka and are still holding the territory north of the village, which was captured during last week's assault.
The situation is much more difficult in Donetsk region, in the Pokrovsk area. Reuters reports that Russian forces have broken through Pokrovsk's defenses and entered the city for the first time.
For several months, Ukraine has been eliminating thousands of Russian soldiers in the area around the frontline city of Pokrovsk, using small drones not equipped with bombs to tie down numerically superior forces. However, now Russian troops are gradually advancing in their summer offensive, during which they have probed for weak spots in Ukraine's defenses. And last week, for the first time, some Russian soldiers entered the city.
Ukrainian military officials are warning about the risk of encirclement near Pokrovsk and Mirnohrad. Over the past 3 months, the Russian salient along the Pokrovsk-Kostiantynivka highway has extended more than 10 kilometers. And now it forms the eastern pincer aimed at encircling 2 important cities at once, Pokrovsk and Mirnohrad. At least 3 brigades are known to be at risk of finding themselves in a precarious position.
We risk losing the people who have been holding back the enemy for almost a year in this direction. We fear that everything could end up like in Avdiivka and Vuhledar, where by holding on until the very end, we lost both the cities and our people. And that's a bad scenario. Perhaps public outcry will help, at least partially. Right now, his top priority is the Donetsk region. That is where the enemy is advancing in the Pokrovsk area, trying to gain a foothold in the territory of the Dnipropetrovsk region. The goal is clear. It's a military propaganda objective, or even more precisely, an informational propaganda objective. That is, to show that Russia is advancing, that yet another region is, in fact, being affected, that Russian aggression is spreading to yet another region.
According to the analytical project Deep State, the occupying forces also have minor advances not only in the Donetsk region. Russia has advanced near Tymarivka. On the border of the Dnipropetrovsk region, Russian advances have been recorded near the village of Malivka. And often such advances turn out to be a propaganda move. Deep State analysts note that Russian soldiers are being promised paid leave if they take a photo with the Russian flag in the rear of the Ukrainian armed forces.
In the vast majority of cases, these are simply banal PR stunts. This is confirmed both by the testimonies of prisoners and by radio intercept data. Russian soldiers are promised paid leave if they manage to sneak into a settlement unnoticed and raise the flag under the flag. For example, this was the case with Malivka in the Dnipropetrovsk region. The task was set as infiltrating in cloaks past the defense forces' positions, then entering the village and raising the flag. After that, they were to pull back and go on leave.
In most such cases, Russian soldiers do not get their leave and die a pointless death. And official media outlets report the occupation of yet another new settlement on credit, as they often do.
Our forces took out a column of occupiers near Zaporizhzhia. The exact coordinates were in the hands of aerial reconnaissance, and the enemy instantly forgot all their intentions. Ukrainian defenders are dismantling the enemy at night in no time. Elimination of 2 snipers, the armed forces of Ukraine got up close and showed them who's boss. The enemy is furious. Strike drones, Molnya, Lancet and Kernik swarm toward our positions. In response, our side delivers ruthless revenge. You'll hear in just a moment what the furious enemy has to say about what's happening right now on this hot section of the front.
Is something flying over?
This could potentially be ours. Nothing has really reached this particular location, actually.
A territory where enemy drones don't reach is a very relative concept here on the Kharkiv-Tokmak section of the front.
Lancets come in while they're under the wings.
Well, those are Lancets, but sometimes there are homemade ones too, you know, like DIY kits.
They come often, so we try not to go out unnecessarily and not to give away our position.
Russian glide bombs also come in, usually deep into the rear, but sometimes a whole series lands and explodes right near the line of contact.
That was our evacuation point. We used to go there and unload. But as for the glide bombs landing like that, I haven't seen it before. They used to land over there. One, then another, then a third. But this time they landed right next to each other. All 4 hit the same spot. Thank God we managed to leave from there in time and all the guys are safe and...
With strike drones like Molnya, Lancet and Chornik, the Russians mostly hunt for our pilots' hideouts, artillery or vehicles moving near the line of combat.
Here, fuel.
This is some kind of incendiary munition, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But most often, and especially in the area around Kharkiv, Zaporizhzhia, the commander of a drone artillery reconnaissance crew, admits that the Russians attack with FPV drones. There are probably hundreds of these lying around here, and that's putting it mildly.
More than, hundreds. Saying hundreds is really an understatement, yeah. On the road, in the fields, in the dugouts, everywhere here, in the trenches, they're everywhere.
He himself is a drone pilot, currently operating a reconnaissance matrix for the self-propelled artillery battalion of the 118th Mechanized Brigade.
We look for movement of equipment, movement of enemies. If we spot something, we report it to the duty officer, and the duty officer then relays it either to the strike FPV drones or to the artillery, and then the artillery opens fire.
Vishny is a builder by trade. He has been at war with the Muscovites since the spring of 2022. He used to be in the infantry, but now with Zaporizhzhia, he has over a year and a half of very intense combat work from the air under his belt.
2 or 3 drop crews, we just couldn't keep up with the work. We didn't have time, we were on flight after flight, flight after flight, our batteries didn't have time to charge. We were sitting under the work, but they were coming in very large groups, they were coming out 10, 15 people a night. This only happens in one direction.
Dropping from a Mavic in pitch darkness, that's his element, admits the pilot of the 118th Mechanized Brigade. Zaporizhzhia has more than 1,000 confirmed eliminated occupiers to his name.
To the right, to the right.
That's beautiful.
Fire show. Whoa. Zaporizhzhia, you're awesome.
In one night, well, there were more than 10, yes, more than 10.
These days, on the Kharkiv front, the Russians almost never attack in full squads anymore. Instead, every day they try to sneak forward in small groups and hide among the explosion-scarred fields of southern Zaporizhzhia.
TRG still comes in anyway. I mean, it's present, but not in the same numbers as back in 23 during the counter-offensive when they started their assault.
For about a month and a half near the front line, particularly on the eastern flank of the Robotine salient, enemy armored vehicles didn't move at all, says Kostel, a pilot's assistant and future independent aerial reconnaissance operator.
Whether it's the advanced FPV drones or the sophisticated reconnaissance units, they meticulously observe and see everything, so they actively try to stop them as much as possible in the rear areas, or completely destroy that very same convoy so it absolutely doesn't reach our crucial defensive line.
That's exactly what happened last Friday, when in the evening, while it was still light, the Russians launched either a probing attack or an attempted breakthrough with a convoy of a tank, infantry fighting vehicles, and fast buggies.
There were a couple of attempts. They There were, if I am not mistaken, approximately 10 distinct vehicles involved in the incident, perhaps even more.
That attempt by the Russians came to nothing. The column was taken out by the artillerymen and FPV drone operators of the 118th. The targeting coordinates were provided specifically by the crews of the brigade's artillery drone reconnaissance. From the front line, we have Alexander Motorny, Alexander Shuyan, and Vitaly Ovsyanikov from Zaporizhzhia. TSN 1+1. Marathon is the only news.
They have hundreds of lightning-fast sorties to their credit. They work quickly, hit accurately, and leave nothing behind. The drone operators take out occupiers in droves and harvest a crop of destroyed equipment. For the first time, they have spoken about these top-secret special operations of total enemy elimination. It will make your hair stand on end. You have to hear this.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism, and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
For the third consecutive year now, the brave and dedicated fighters of the GURMO Special Unit, Artan, have been valiantly defending not only the sacred Ukrainian land, but also the vast and expansive sky above it. Destroying enemy equipment, logistics, and personnel is the daily work of the Artan fighters.
When they're shooting near your street, I don't know what kind of person you have to be to completely turn away from it, to just hide somewhere.
Artan has been involved in the hottest fronts and operations: Zaporizhzhia, Kupiansk, the Kharkiv region, and the operation in the Black Sea.
And even an incursion into the Russian Federation. And the Boyko Towers, the Zaporizhzhia direction, Kharkiv Donetsk region. Basically, wherever it's hot, that's where Artan operates.
Well, one of the most interesting missions we've had was the recent assault that took place in the Zaporizhzhia region. It was an extremely dynamic operation by everyone, literally everyone, from target detection to their destruction.
Pilots are the main weapon on the front line, and at the same time, the target the enemy wants to destroy the most.
As of today, it is clear that unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs, are indeed the #1 target, both for us and for the enemy forces in this ongoing conflict. Because they are the eyes in the strike system, artillery, well, it's no longer decisive. It of course, still plays a very important role. But now it's the strike drones that cause the most damage.
These guys are members of a strike drone crew. In their arsenal, they have interceptors, reconnaissance drones, kamikaze drones, and their main task is to destroy enemy positions and equipment.
Why do you genuinely like it? Well, it's very much like that popular meme. I truly like how it intensely burns, how people immediately start scrambling around in a chaotic manner. That's it. It's the same for us.
When a van blows up, when people start running from there, that's the best show you can get. Demining, striking military positions, enemy positions. It can even be used for deliveries too, like medicine or supplies or some equipment if needed.
Sometimes drones are used in unusual situations, Rengen admits.
Delivering essential things like nourishing food or even comforting cigarettes or crucial batteries for vital radios, for example, if it unfortunately happens that our brave comrades run completely out of necessary supplies or something important gets unexpectedly damaged.
To avoid becoming targets for enemy drones themselves, the soldiers use electronic warfare equipment.
There are 2 types of electronic warfare systems in my vehicle. One is for vehicles, and the other is the type used by foot patrols. It protects our soldiers from enemy FPV drones. Anything that ends up in the air above our soldiers gets jammed and, as a result, falls down, ensuring the safety of our troops.
The crew's pilot, Theseus, says that communication is always of utmost importance, not just within the crew, but also with neighboring units.
One pilot can't do much alone, but as a crew, you can get the whole job done properly. Not much depends on a single person. A lot depends on how you bring everything together as a team.
Tornado emphasizes that war never stands still and technology constantly needs to be improved.
The race of technology, what was relevant yesterday may no longer work today. That's precisely why all of this essential equipment and advanced drones truly need to be significantly improved and thoroughly upgraded. And as a direct result, their overall effectiveness will be much, much higher.
Everything is changing very dynamically. and they are also learning quite quickly, and their military-industrial complex allows them to rapidly scale up various solutions that work. So yes, we absolutely have to be inventive to find some truly unconventional frequencies and to diligently look for any available loopholes.
Target hit. Nice one.
Yulia Chikichina, Dmitro Kurchenko, Rada TV channel. For the summary, United Main.
It's not just a cannon, it's the car on tracks that stopped the enemy's advance on Kostiantynivka. The Imsta-B in the hands of our soldiers is like a steel hammer, striking precisely and mercilessly to destroy Russian positions. Where the sky holds its breath in anticipation, its shot tears through the air. Loud, accurate, relentless. Putin's mercenaries are smashed to pieces. We'll tell you in more detail in the following report about what this combat vehicle can do in the Toretsk direction and how it helps change the course of battle.
We're heading to the Imsta now. The guys are working very actively at the moment. They fire off a huge number of shells in a single day. The Russians are pushing, and right now we're trying to hold back this offensive.
This is the Toretsk direction, and the fighting here is extremely intense. From a bird's eye view, you can see how Toretsk itself has been literally scorched by the Russian occupiers. The enemy is trying to break through the city. The assaults have been going on for over a year. The Russians are trying to approach Kostiantynivka. The pressure is insane.
Fire! The shells are being spotted by the occupiers. This is the Imsta, and it's the Liut brigade working right now.
They are covering our infantry and not letting the enemy advance. Oh, today we've got it. Full on, yeah. Without them, you can't imagine either an effective defense or a lightning-fast offensive. Fire!
When this gun goes off, it really goes off.
The soldiers of the Liut brigade captured this cannon during the liberation of Kherson region in 22. Now it's used to hit Russian equipment in the rear and to disrupt enemy offensives on the front line. Fire!
It shoots at quite a long distance. That's a huge advantage. This means we can strike both along the enemy's front line and deep into their rear, disrupting their logistics and the movement of their equipment.
In the Toretsk direction, the enemy is advancing with infantry, looking for places where they can break through.
Just yesterday we had a target there. The enemy army, the adversary, entered the settlement and occupied a building. There were a lot of them there, so we were given that target. We hit the building itself. Well, it was pretty satisfying. It was satisfying, firstly because we destroyed the enemy, and secondly because we're helping our guys, the infantry who are out there. They're really counting on us. I used to be an assault trooper myself, so I know what artillery support means, so that's why I'm motivated to do this work.
The artillery crews work both day and night.
Yes, our job is 24/7. There's no such thing as a break. They can come at us in the morning, at noon, or at night.
And they often hear words of thanks for their work from their fellow units.
Everyone who passes by stops in for coffee. Everyone washes their spoons after themselves, they say. We'll wash them so that next time people treat us the same way.
Their shells destroy enemy personnel and the groves where the occupiers are hiding.
That's one drawback. It's that the shells are heavy. Here, a shell weighs up to 50 kilograms and you have to carry it all the way there. And it might not be just once, it could be 10 times.
We understand that we're doing something useful not only for the country, but also for our assault troops who are directly on the front line with the enemy. Because, as they say, the sweat of the artilleryman is the blood of the assault trooper.
For the enemy, the Imsta is a high-value target. Enemy FPV drones are constantly hunting for the gun.
Yes, just a few minutes, right before you arrived, there were 2 FPV drones.
Almost immediately after the operation, the soldiers find out the result.
The guys just finished their work and collapsed the basement, burying them there forever.
Infantry always needs support, and it's the gods of war, the artillerymen, who cover them.
Our infantry are titans. How so? We wouldn't be able to hold out without them. They hold the lines and, as they say, are our reliable body armor, so the enemy can't get close to us. And in turn, we are their body armor, because through our actions, we destroy the enemy so they can't gain a foothold or get close to them.
Fire.
From Donetsk region, Marina Smolova, Alexander Koretsky. We are Ukraine, Marathon. United News.
Russia has adopted a new tactic, though this time not at the front, but in the rear. A total concealment of the course of the war and from their own people at that. Full-scale brainwashing. Special military operation heroes are being handed manuals and ordered to keep their mouths shut. In the Kremlin, they're biting their elbows, realizing they've really messed up. The truth is coming to light, and the Russians themselves don't like it much. Have they really woken up? Don't miss what's next. To dodge uncomfortable questions, they start telling stories about their grandfather's war or just joke it off. And also to insist that the civilian population welcomes the Russian army. Occupiers who have returned from the front are now being taught how to speak during public appearances. The Academy of the Znani Society has taken on this task, and their course is supposedly designed to teach how to effectively convey the truth about the special operation and emotionally recount their exploits. In reality, of course, this is just a propaganda manual for Russian killers. Journalists from the publication Vyorstki obtained it, and we will go through it in detail.
Don't expect everyone to share your point of view, play on your side, or follow your rules. There will be people who want to show that they disagree with you. Remarks like, "What are you talking about here?" can come up in any audience. The main principle, the remote control should always be in your hands. Don't let go of it.
By remote control, the authors of the manual actually mean ordinary lies. For example, when asked, "Have you ever had to kill, and how many people have you killed?" the occupiers are advised to simply answer that it was a difficult necessity. They are also told not to forget to add that if supposedly the Russians do not win, then the Ukrainians will destroy them, their wives and their children. They are also advised to mention that supposedly Russian soldiers always try to prevent unnecessary deaths.
That's a great question. I'm very grateful to you for asking it. Let's think about it together. I'm very interested to hear what you think about this. Suppose you are attacked and you realize that you or your mother, sister, brother, or friend are about to be killed. You don't have time to think, will you save yourself and your loved ones or not? What would you do? I want to understand what you would do. Let's think about it together. I'm very interested to hear what you think about this.
Even more hypocrisy and lies are suggested when it comes to talking about prisoners. Russian killers are advised to claim that they supposedly strictly adhere to the norms of international law. They always make sure to feed, treat, allow contact with relatives, and generally save prisoners after severe injuries. All of this, of course, can be debunked with just one video of a prisoner exchange. You can clearly see that in captivity, Ukrainian soldiers have lost dozens of kilograms and right up until the end, had no idea what was happening to their loved ones. There's no need to even mention the mutilations. The occupiers were also reminded that people who ask them about love for their homeland need to be reminded that they should defend it from the enemy with weapons.
Not just go to rallies and write nice words on social media, but actually do something concrete so that the homeland survives and becomes better.
And if there are questions about civilians, the hero who has returned should answer that they express gratitude for the protection and support, and see the Russian army as defenders who bring security and stability. There's not even any point in debunking this. We'll just remind you of this legendary video.
Take these sunflower seeds and put them in your pockets, so at least sunflowers will grow when you lie down here.
Returning to the course itself and the manual, as we've already mentioned, they are supposed to help the returning occupiers, and they are being prepared to speak in front of school children, students, volunteers, or government representatives, including Putin. But experts have another theory about why such a manual is needed. It could also be used to force ordinary Russian soldiers to use it, so that if they are captured, they know what to say.
In Russian, and in order to minimize the information, the information that could fall into the hands of Ukrainian soldiers, and as they see it, to protect the lives and health of their soldiers who are captured by Ukrainians, because they believe that we torture them, that we eat them. This comprehensive manual is specifically intended, as they themselves perceive it, to meticulously protect their captured prisoners of war who are currently in the hands of the Russian-Ukrainian army, more precisely, the armed forces of Ukraine. And by doing so, they aim to significantly minimize the flow of sensitive information that could potentially reach us, their adversaries.
Of course, this won't work, just as such answers won't work for people who know how to think. But in the Russian Federation, they continue to naively believe that people will trust the occupiers who have returned from the front, although perhaps it's not so naive after all. That's all from me for now. This was me, Darina Hutsakalo. There will be even more hellish news from the front in our next broadcast. And in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. See you soon!